MTL Sports Podcast, episode 63. Happy New Year's. First of all, let's get that out the way. Happy New Year's to everyone out there, all of our listeners. Thank you very much for tuning in to the New Year's. Hope you had a great New Year's as well. But we're back, a new year. This is officially year 2 of the MTL Sports Podcast. And we're doing great, going to keep doing great things. And so with that, let's get the rundown started. It was a great week 17 of the NFL last week. So we're going to do a quick takeaway from last week. And then we're going to preview games of the week for the final week of the NFL's regular season, week 18. A lot that's going to go down, a lot of playoff implications, seedings, all that good stuff. So I'll break it down for you guys. Second, we got college football semifinals. We're going to do a quick recap of those and then preview the big game on Monday. Preview the big game on Monday as well, since we won't have time to do that on Monday because obviously the game will be taking place as we record on Monday. So can't do that. So we'll do that right here, right now. And then lastly, and it's a jam-packed episode, but we got to go over some NBA. The Knicks Raptors made a huge trade. We'll talk about that. Plus, hey man, these OKC Thunders, these young gun Thunders, these baby Thunder, whatever nickname, whatever you want to call them, they've been on the roll. Beat the Celtics, beat the Nuggets. They're just beating teams left and right. We're gonna talk about them and do they need to make a move? We'll talk about that coming up in rapid fire. But I'm your host today. Lawrence can't make it. Tevin can't make it, so you just got me today. And with that being said, we'll kick it off. First episode of the new year. Let's go. NFL Week 17 was last week. We're a couple days removed from Sunday and Saturday action. I don't think we had a game on Thursday. So we're going to do some quick takeaways from the last week. There was a lot on the line last week, a lot of playoff implications. We went over some of those in the previous episode if you want to check that out. Link will be in the description if you're watching on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, just go click on the previous episode. But we'll go with some quick takeaways here. And I want to preface this by saying, last week, honestly, some of the games I thought would be good didn't turn out to be all that good, okay? Like, I thought the Ravens and Dolphins would be a shootout. Hey, it was a one-sided shootout, okay? Let me pull this up for you guys so we can go over this together. Oh, there was a game on Thursday. Never to matter. Jets, Browns. Browns are legit. We need the Jets. Jets are going through what the Jets are going through. Zach Wilson is getting a little ahead of myself. But Zach Wilson is out for next game. I don't think he's going to play. So that's most likely the end of his tenure in New York. Hate to see it because the kid does have talent. He's shown flashes. I've seen enough that he belongs in the NFL. I don't know in what capacity, though. But only time will tell with that. Lions, Cowboys, huge controversy. I'm sure everyone has already heard from all of the TV analysts and all these sports commentators about how, honestly, the Lions did get robbed. There's video of the two to three linemen going to the ref. What's his name? Brad Smith or whatever. And trying to report. He's running away as they're trying to report. It looked like they got a couple words in, but he's not. And then Dan Campbell, apparently coaches before the games, they meet with the officials and then they tell them about situations like this that might arise. Hey, I may have this, 2-point conversion play that I might do. We might have a couple extra linemen. They're going to report to you, yada, yada, yada. Looked like Brad Smith did not attend that meeting, and then his other fellow referees did not notify him of a potential situation like what took place. And you hate to see it, and I think it got a little heated. I don't know if you guys watched First Take, but it got a little heated this morning where Stephen A was trying to point it out, like, okay, we've seen officials cost teams games, not making the right call or not calling a pass interference, but we at least recently. Okay, recently we haven't seen an official literally cost a team a game by like taking points away because of an error on their end. Like, this is an egregious error, and the team was actually in the right. So, I mean, I do think the Lions got robbed, but at the end of the day, they're stuck at the 3 seed. They would have needed help anyway to get to this. I think the 1st or 2nd seed. So it's just a bad situation, but they're still in the playoffs. They still have a home game. If they're really the team, then they won't have any problems with. Okay, maybe you get 2 road games instead of just 1. Like, I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. And for the Cowboys, they got lucky. Still undefeated at home. Have a chance to solidify the number 2 seed next week against the Commanders. We'll see what happens. But if they get, 2 home games, I think the Cowboys might make it to the NFC Championship game. We'll see. Because they don't look like the frauds in the division anymore, at least. Bengals Chiefs, Jake Browning did well. But honestly, I think he kind of just lost his mojo in the second half. I didn't watch much of the second half, but what I did watch, he just, I don't know, didn't look as confident because he was pretty confident, pretty in command of the offense first half. But you gotta give it up to the Chiefs. They made the right adjustments at halftime and kind of took that confidence away from them. And the Chiefs just did their thing. It's at Arrowhead, so I kind of gave them the advantage anyway. I didn't expect too much out of Jake Browning. And thus, Bengals are eliminated. They play the Browns this week. We'll see what happens. Patriots Bills, probably closer than it should have been. Josh Allen turned the ball over. Just happened that Bailey Zappi turned the ball over as well. Bills come out with the victory, played the Dolphins for the AFC East title this weekend. So we'll see. Falcons Bears. Bears have a tough decision to make, especially if they win again. They will definitely have a tough decision to make because Justin Fields, as he's had pretty much every single season that he's started, which is this is his 3rd year, starts slow, but he's ended good all 3 years, in my opinion. So it's just, they have a tough decision to make. They don't have to exactly make it this, well, they kind of do, but yeah, it's tough for anyone who's going to be in that position, whether they keep their GM, keep their coach, get rid of both. We'll see what happens there. Colts Raiders, close game. I mean, all I can say about this is, the Colts are at home. Like, when you're playing at home, you should win. The Raiders are a hot team. Antonio Pierce is doing a hell of a job, way better than Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels sucks as a head coach. Decent OC when he's paired with Daddy Belichick, but not the here nor there. Rams Giants. Rams come away with the victory. They're sitting Stafford next week, so I'm pretty sure they're locked into the playoffs, which is smart because Stafford is injury prone. So we'll see how they look with Carson Wentz at the helm next week. Cardinals Eagles. Yeah, I think the Eagles might be frauds. It's tough to see a team win 10 in a row, then lose the last 4 out of 5. You lost to the 49ers, that's okay. You lost to the Cowboys in Jerry World, that's okay. Losing to the Cardinals, that's a damn shame. And hey, they beat 4 teams. Hey, they beat the Cowboys, so they beat your rival. So maybe they just beating up on NFC teams because they almost beat the Commanders, and I think they might have beat the Giants. So it's not. They just might have a thing for NFC East teams, just like the AFC North has a thing for NFC West teams. I think it just might be the trend this year where a couple teams are just beating up on divisions, and hey, it's just the way it is. All right, can't look at it much more than that. But Eagles defensively, they're frauds. Been saying this all year. Secondary is not very good. When Mac Jones threw for 300 on you, when I think Zach Wilson threw for a good chunk on you, that's when I knew for a fact that, hey, secondary can be had. And Kyler Murray, he has nothing to play for. He's just going to gunsling. That's just who he is. and exposed them. I mean, they were already exposed, but they got exposed by a bad team. That's never how you want to go. Saints had the Bucks number, not much there. 49ers, Commanders. It was a game in the first half. Then the 49ers decided to actually play. Panthers, Jaguars. Lawrence isn't here, so I'm not going to comment too much, but Beathard, easy victory for him. We'll see if the Jags make the playoffs. Dolphins, Ravens. This is the game that I mentioned. Hey, very disappointing. I thought it would be something. And the Dolphins, they had a good first quarter. And then Lamar just torched them. I mean, when you have more touchdown passes than incompletions, like that's, hey man, that's insane. That's incredible. This man's going to win MVP for the second time. Unanimous, I don't know, because CMC has been amazing as well. He's definitely in second, so he's going to steal some votes from Lamar. I don't think it's going to be unanimous. Steelers, Seahawks. Seahawks don't decide to show up. Geno Smith only throws one touchdown. Steelers have been on the roll ever since Mason Rudolph has started. They've had back-to-back 30-point games. They have a chance to win and get into the playoffs next week versus the Ravens, and the Ravens aren't starting Lamar. So they have a shot to make the playoffs. They need some help. Chargers, Broncos. Broncos, of course, sat Russ. They're going to sit him for the next game as well. Stidham slid in. I didn't watch too much of this game, but Stidham didn't look too good, and Chargers are just a mess. Not much more on them. Packers, Vikings, Jordan Love torched the Vikings. Vikings are moving to Mullins next game. This little flip-floppity flop of the quarterbacks is just really ruining them. I know they're trying to find life, trying to, scramble to make the playoffs, but the way they went about it just isn't it. They should have stuck with Mullins after, Cincinnati, and it wasn't his fault that they lost. Just their defense is bad. So Cincinnati get back into the game. It's not Mullins' fault. And bad play calling down the stretch, going for the tush push 2 times in a row. Didn't work when you have, I forgot who the running back is, but he was just eating us up on the ground. So, I don't know. That's neither here nor there. Jordan Love's been looking spectacular the past, I would say, 4 to 5 games. Really seeing flashes of Aaron Rodgers, like a more athletic Aaron Rodgers. Even Aaron said himself on Pat that Jake Love is incredible, is playing amazing. And really gave praise to him and saying, like, these NFC North teams are like, oh, Aaron, I'm gone, so they can beat up on the Packers. No, it's like this kid Jordan Love that's there, and he's pretty damn good too. So it's good to see that from Aaron giving praise back to his old team. So all that's good stuff. But we're gonna move on to Week 18. And as you know, final week of NFL regular season. A lot on the line in terms of playoffs. Let's see if ESPN, I think they do. I wonder if they have the scenarios, because I don't know the scenarios off the top of my head. See, this is why I should have been prepared. I thought I was, but I'm not, obviously. NFL playoff. We'll just do this as we go. Just the ones that I know off the top of my head. Steelers, Ravens. That's not. I mean, it's going to be a good game, but Lamar is not going to play, so it won't mean too much. Ravens are going to rest most of the starters, so it won't be that much of a game. We're going to go over the games that have playoff implications, honestly. Starting with the Texans Colts, I know this one does. This is partially for a wild card, but also the division is on the line, I think, for this one. Both teams have been playing great. They're at Lucas Oil Stadium. It's basically a pick-me. Look, it's 120 on the money line for Houston, even for Indy. I'm taking that over because this will be a shootout for sure. Both teams, I don't think there's going to be a lick of defense in this one. And look, it opened at 46 and went at one point. and it's only Wednesday. It's going to keep going up most likely. I would go ahead and take the over while it's still relatively low, right? Both teams are beat up. As you can see, Robert Woods, Noah Brown, Will Anderson, all beat up on the Texans. And then on the Colts side, got a couple of linemen. I think even Jonathan Taylor, he has surgery on his thumb, and his thumb is healed, right? It's healed, but I think he left a couple times during the game on Sunday because his hand was like re-aggravated or whatever the case. So I don't know. We'll see if his snaps are kind of limited in a way, but his backup, I think, Zach Moss has been doing phenomenal as well. So I'm not too worried about that. I think the biggest thing here is, the rookie quarterback, who's most likely rookie of the year, is he going to make the playoffs? And is he going to have a shot to make some noise in the playoffs? I think that's probably the biggest thing here. And on the other side, you got Minshew Mania. I mean, Gardner Minshew has stepped up big time since, Anthony Richardson got hurt, I think, week 4 or 5, and really stepped in. And they honestly won games when I didn't think they would. And they definitely surprised me because I think I had the Colts at like 5-4 or 5-12 or something like that. And obviously they're 9-7 right now. So doing way better than I predicted. And same with the Texans, doing way better than I predicted. So yeah, I'm going shootout, and officially I think I'm going to pick. I'm going to take experience in this one, I think. And yeah, I'm going to take experience in this one. I'm going to take the Colts. I think. This might be a little bit too much for the rookie. It's a lot on the line, a lot of pressure. The Colts are at home. It's just going to be a really hostile environment. It's a division game, a lot on the line. And the Texans are more beat up than the Colts, honestly. So I think that will hinder them just a little bit more. So I'm going to go with Minshew Mania. He's been playing awesome. Doing a phenomenal job being the backup, now the starter. And I think they're going to get the playoffs. Second game. Let me find it. Jaguars Titans. I think the Jags, they need to win this one. I don't think they can get into the playoffs as a wild card. I don't know, but I'm not going to preview this one. But the Jags need to win this one to make the playoffs as well. Bucks Panthers. If the Bucks win, I believe they're in. So the Bucks need to beat the Panthers. Panthers, as you can see, they're at home. The Bucks are a 4.5-point favorite. Panthers, don't get me wrong, they aren't the best, but they are definitely going to look to ruin the Bucks parade, try to knock them out the playoffs. I don't think the Bucks are going to make a wild card if they lose this game. So the best bet is just a straight out win, and then they have, full claim at the NFC South. Bears Packers. Packers get in with a win. All they gotta do is beat the Bears. But before, like I said, Justin Fields been playing phenomenal the past couple weeks. Bears have won more games than I thought. I think I said the Bears will win like a game or two. Obviously, they're doing way better than that, so I got to give them praise for that. But so is Jordan Love. I mean, he started out kind of. I mean, he had like 2 to 3 good games, and had like a really bad cold stretch where you're like, is this kid really the future? What did they really see in this kid? Maybe we should have had like a stopgap quarterback. Maybe gave him another year to develop. All this kind of negativity swirling around Jordan Love, but hey, when the money is down on the line, this kid has showed up. All quarterbacks, young or old, go through stretches, and he just had a bad stretch, but he's definitely rebounded and is playing phenomenal. Made some incredible throws, and he doesn't even have his best receiver. Christian Watson has been out for a little bit, and he's still making do with what he has. So I've been very, very impressed. For this one,
I don't see it being that much different. I see it,
for this one, they're playing in Lambeau. So with all So at least with that being said, their Packers are playing at home. I think they win this one, but this will be a close game. I think taking Chicago +3 it's honestly a safe bet. And honestly, that over I feel like is good too. What's the weather like? 28 with snow. Okay, maybe hold off on the total on the points. I don't know about the points, but the spread I think 3 is fair spread. Justin Fields has a lot to prove. Not only does he want to prove that he is the quarterback, he doesn't want the Bears drafting anyone with the first pick. He wants them to, of course, just trade that pick, get some draft capital, and build around him. Do I support that idea? I kind of do, but I need to see more. I need to see more out of Justin Fields. So if he can ruin the Packers party, playoff party, then I might back that idea some more. But I got the Packers in this one. Moving along, we have I think the Broncos are still alive, but they need help. Eagles, Giants. I'm not going to go over this one too much, but Eagles do need to win and Cowboys do need to lose for them to stay at the NFC East champions, to repeat at that. If not, if they lose or if the Cowboys win, there will be a wild card, the 5th seed most likely. So tough spot for Philly to be in. They definitely play better at home. They're decent on the road, but you always want a home playoff game. It just makes it that much easier. You never want to make it a tough road. Because that's just hard. That's tough. That's tough to deal with. Seahawks, I think technically are still alive, but they need some help. Chiefs, Chargers, Chiefs. I think I'll just lock the 3 seed. I don't think Mahomes is going to play. Kelsey might sit as well, so I'm not going to go over that. Rams, 49ers, both teams don't have much to play for. I think the Rams are locked in. 49ers are definitely locked in as that number 1 seed. Not much to play for. Cowboys, Commanders. Cowboys have a little bit to play for. The NFC East. Then they get, 2 home games? If not, only 1 home game. Which is very, very needed for them just because they are terrible on the road. Can't seem to win, road games, much less the important road games. So a couple home playoff games would mean a lot to them. They definitely could win in the wild card round. I could see that. Divisional round is where I think it's definitely needed because the Cowboys in the past, once they get past, the wild card round, go to the next round and play even better team, and they usually get smacked. And Dak Prescott usually regress. And then we start making fun of them again. And the cycle continues. So we'll see if the cycle breaks this year. Jimmy Johnson got, inducted to the Ring of Honor. Jerry Jones' stubborn ass finally, let his pride to the side and let his best head coach ever get into the most sacred, I guess, not really honor society, but just honor, whatever, participation, trophy. I don't know. I don't know what I'm really saying, but basically gave the man his props, gave the man his respect, for all that he did for him. So that's a nice thing to see. But yeah, Cowboys need to win this one, and they're playing in FedEx Field. Commanders, the last game of the Ron Rivera era. I know a lot of people are excited about this. They think it's a mixed bag of what I think probably 60 to 70% of people want them to lose. But I think the diehard Commanders / Redskins fans, they want to beat the Cowboys because the rivalry is never too big for a draft pick. So in some people's eyes, they're just like, hey, let's just kick their ass. They're in our home field. Let's just kick their butt, ruin their little playoff, push. They'll still be in the playoffs, but they'll be a wild card. That'll make them happy, seeing them lose. I mean, some people, the rivalry is never too big for situations like this, which I respect. I really respect that a lot. So we'll see what happens. I got the Cowboys in this one, though, but we'll see if maybe they rest their starters, some of them at least, or, I mean, who knows? Commanders might come out and those players might want to, the ones that are still on the fringe of getting a payday or not, they're just going to show out for the last game, get some good tape, and so that they can get some big contracts this upcoming offseason. So we'll see. And then probably the biggest game of the night, or not the night, but of the whole week, honestly. Bills, Dolphins for the AFC East. If the Bills win, of course, they win the division. Dolphins win, they win the division. And I think the loser gets the 6th seed. So, all that being said, this is very, very important. Dolphins are at home, which they're kind of like the AFC Cowboys, where they're on the road, they kind of suck. At home, they're pretty damn good. As you can see, they're 7-1. The Bills 3-4 away, but a home playoff game would mean a lot for them because they typically are better at home. And then the Buffalo weather, even though it wasn't really much of a factor when Cincinnati came to town last season. Hey, another team like the Dolphins or another warm weather team could come see them in the divisional round or even the wild card round, and hey, it might smack them around a little bit. The bad weather, and they may not be used to it, so it might give them an advantage. 54% of the public, or at least ESPN Matchup Predictor, is predicting 54% of the Bills. Honestly, the Dolphins are beat up. I do see that. But the Dolphins are very, very good at home. And I think they are going to avenge that first loss in Buffalo. I don't think they're going to get beat that bad. I don't think it's going to be that high scoring. And hopefully, if Mostert is back, I think they definitely do have a shot. Now, the defense is just going to have to play amazing because they are losing people left and right on defense, not looking too good. And then the offensive line is going to have to block, give, Tua some time to throw the ball. Because as of late, he hasn't had ample enough time to make reads and make some good decisions, I should say. And then for Josh Allen, I think the key is to hold on to the ball. Don't give the ball over to the Dolphins because at home, the Dolphins will capitalize. And I think you're stressing that as the Dolphins. You're saying, hey, Josh Allen does Josh Allen things. Turnover prone. He's going to try and be a superhero. He's going to try to win this game and put the team on his back and be the AFC champions and then go smoke a cigar, look like Joe Burrow for a little bit, and get a home playoff game. And I think that they definitely know this. And, I mean, of course they're going to try to ruin the party. I mean, this is a divisional opponent. They're just not going to let them walk in and just steal their thunder. It's not how this works. James Cook, got to continue to cook. Buffalo has to continue to feed him the ball. And then let Josh Allen run a little bit. Bradley Chubb is out, so it's one less guy chasing after you. He has to run the ball effectively when they call on him to run the ball. Make good decisions. Make sure you give Diggs the ball. Diggs is having kind of a down year. Make sure he gets the ball. He needs to see the end zone at least once if they want to win this game. And as far as predicting, I'm definitely taking the Dolphins 3 points. They're at home. I think 3 points is generous. Because honestly, I thought this would be a pick me. It is not. So yeah, I'm going. My mind is telling me Buffalo. My heart is telling me Dolphins. So I'm gonna go with the heart. I have this feeling the Dolphins is gonna win this one. They just at home. They lost last week. They got embarrassed. It didn't look too good for them. So they're gonna definitely bounce back and prove to everyone that hey, you just can't push us over because you're the better team. We're actually gonna fight. When we go against bullies, we're gonna fight back. So I got the Dolphins in this one. And that's it. Week 18. Basically went over all of the games that have meaning. As you know, like the Browns, Bengals, there's no meaning. Browns already pretty much locked to the 5th seed. Bengals have been eliminated. Joe Flacco won't start. I think Jake Browning will start, but it's not the here nor there. I don't think Amari Cooper is going to start either. So, not too much more to go over, guys. Honestly, this is week 18, last week of the season, and then next week we'll have playoffs. So we will preview every single playoff game next week in depth. It won't just be games of the week. We'll actually break down every game pretty thoroughly, and give you guys some good insight about stuff like that. So I think we'll end that there. Week 18, games of the week, last week of the NFL season. It was great doing this with you guys and giving you guys a little bit of insight into what games we think are going to be the best of the week and give you some betting lines, stuff like that. Hopefully we'll do that next season, and then we'll see with NBA if we can do something similar. But coming up next, College Football Playoff Semifinals were this past weekend, actually past Monday, so 2 days ago. New Year's Day. We'll go over those games really quickly and then preview the Natty. The National Championship game is next Monday. So we'll go over that coming up next. College Football Playoff Semifinals were this past Monday, 2 days ago, on New Year's. We had the two semifinal games, Alabama, Michigan. Honestly, in my opinion, it was a great game. Took forever though. I think the game started at 5. It didn't end until literally 8:45. I think they pushed back the Texas-Washington game because I think that game was supposed to start at 8:45, but they pushed that back to 9 because it took so long. Pasadena, California. This game went to overtime, and then Michigan or Alabama the third, and then Michigan just they went right down. They were they started 25, couple plays, they're in the end zone. Alabama marches down a little bit. Last play, 4th and goal. Bad snap. Milroe gets stopped. Michigan wins. I will say this. I think it was a really good game. I think both teams' defenses did show up, especially Michigan. They really, I think they took away Milroe's like explosive plays. I don't think he got too many explosive plays like he usually does. Like his longest run was 18 yards. I think he tried to throw the ball long, but I mean the longest pass play was 29 yards. Milroe's a pretty decent deep ball thrower and kept taking shots. Nothing was there. So they took away his two best abilities, right? The deep ball and then making explosive plays with his legs. Now he made some plays with his legs, but they weren't explosive enough to really put a dent into Michigan's defense and really turn the tide of the game into Alabama's favor. Alabama was up in the 4th though, but I think Milroe fumbled, gave Michigan the ball back, and they marched back down and scored to tie the game up. So I think that was a crucial mistake right there. Alabama, I think what really hurt them was bad offensive line play, and the offensive line has been honestly suspect all year, and it's really crazy because Alabama usually has top 5, top 10 O-line in the country, and then all season I feel like they weren't particularly bad, but they weren't particularly good either. And I think Michigan's front is just amazing. Defense overall is just amazing, especially those backers. And then the corners aren't too bad either. Like the corners are good, like just all around good defense. And I just think Alabama could never crack the defense. And they had spurts where it was like, okay, Alabama's putting something together, and then Michigan just shut them down. So, and then on the other side, Michigan had the same thing where, excuse me, you see like a little roll go on, and then Alabama shuts it down. So it's really a defensive battle. I don't mind defensive battles because personally, a low-scoring game is good for me either way. As long as it's close in the 4th, so we get some kind of dramatic effect going on, that's all that matters to me. We did this game with overtime, so that was good enough for me. Alabama definitely, after the little quarterback controversy in the beginning of the season, where they started Milroe, then benched him, played the other kid. He didn't do good. Played the other kid. He didn't do good. So they went back to Milroe. Then Milroe just strung together honestly some very, very impressive wins, especially against Auburn, where the Hail Mary is basically the game. So, got to give him credit. Don't know if he's going to be back next year, but if he is, and if they improve the offensive line, because definitely the center lost his job. He just too many of those snaps all game. He definitely cost the team multiple opportunities throughout the game. So he definitely lost his starting job. But if they can recruit some big boys up front and or get some in the transfer portal, and kind of fix up the offensive line. Plus, we're going to the 12-team format next year. They'll easily be back in the semis. I'm hard pressed to think that Nick Saban isn't going to get this team back to the semifinals, especially with the new format next year. For Michigan, hey, Jim Harbaugh's first time in the finals. He lost the previous 3 semifinals games, I believe. So breaking through for his first one. Will that keep him in Michigan? Probably not, because he already hired the agent that works with Tom Brady and a couple others, Drew Brees, I think. So he's definitely going to NFL. Which team? We don't know yet, but this man's definitely leaving whether he wins or loses. I don't think any amount of money is going to keep him at Michigan, especially with all of the punishment that's probably going to come his way. So moving on, Washington, Texas, probably the better of the 2 games because it was mostly offense, but there was definitely some defensive moments here and there, especially the last play of the game where the Washington corner just flies in the air and just slaps the ball out the guy's hands. Like, that was a pretty impressive play. If you play corner, that's how you get it done. No need to fucking keep your eyes on the receiver and just when he's throwing his hands out, you do this. Like, no, sometimes you gotta swivel your head back, look at the quarterback, try to find the ball in the air and just go make a play on the ball. That's what you gotta do sometimes. You can't always just react to what the receiver's doing. But Michael Penix played one hell of a game. 430 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 97.7 QBR, 29-38. I mean, you can't ask much more of the kid. Then he made some plays with his legs. He had 3 carries, 31 yards. He even had a couple. I think he had like 2 or 3 design. Like, he had a couple scrambles, yes, but I think he had like 2 or a couple of design quarterback runs. So it's definitely good to see him kind of showcase that he can use his legs. I know he is. Hey, he used to run at Indiana, but with a couple of I think he had like 1 or 2 knee surgeries. Kind of cut that stuff out. Try to stay more of a pocket quarterback, which is what scouts want to see anyway. And then Dylan Johnson, I think, re-aggravated his foot. I think that was hurting him before. So, I mean, he will definitely try to play in the national championship game. I mean, you might only get to those once in your life. It's a once in a lifetime game you're gonna play, but how effective will it be has yet to be seen because we don't know how hurt he is, how much damage happened. But on the flip side, though, Texas, they played a good game. I think they just didn't make enough plays down the stretch. I feel like not enough 3rd down conversions, and I think we can attribute that to Washington's defense stepping up, which at times has been criticized as non-existent. You definitely letting teams stay in the game when Washington probably could have beat a couple teams more handily if they just had a better defense, but they definitely stepped up. And like I said, the last play of the game was very, very huge. So shout out to them. Now, as we look towards the championship game, though, let's pull that up. All the way at the bottom. Michigan's a 4.5 point favorite. They opened at 3.5. Honestly, I would see if you can hold out. This might creep up to 5.5 as more and more people start to talk about the national championship game, and then the bettors are going to be swayed by, the sports analysts and the media guys. They're going to be swayed to maybe move this 1 more point. So if you can get this at 5.5, probably wait till Saturday, Sunday, maybe the day of, to lock in, 5 or 5.5. I think that's the play. I think it's I do think there's a high chance that it's going to trend that way. The over. Now we see Michigan put up points before, but we damn sure know Washington is going to put up points. But I think the biggest thing here is Washington's O-line, which is probably the best in the country, versus the Michigan front, which is probably the best in the country. Will they be able to? How does that look? And will the Washington O-line give Penix enough time to throw the ball? Because he can honestly tear any team apart. The better question is, will he have enough time? And if he has the time, I definitely can see him, taking apart the Michigan secondary. I don't think it's going to be that hard for Penix. He definitely has the arm strength, has the precision, and the receivers for Washington are incredible. They definitely can get open. I don't think that they will be handicapped at all in trying to get open. So I have no issues with that. It's just with if they can get protection right, and if Johnson is back and he can run decent, then sure, Washington has a chance. But if they can't block, if they don't have their starting running back, then that's when you're looking at, Michigan's probably going to run away with this one. But I would definitely take Washington spread, leaning towards taking the over. As you can see, almost 3/4 is picking Michigan. I mean, it just kind of seems like it's their year. Like, there's so many scandals. Harbaugh got suspended at the beginning of the year, got suspended near the end of the year. They had to play Ohio State without him. They won that game. That was a real first test. Beat Ohio State. All the odds have been against them, and they kind of just overcome every obstacle in their path. So it kind of just seems like this might be just their year. Some teams it's just that's what happens. It's just their year. You can't do nothing about it. It's not scripted. It's not anything like that. It's just this team's a special team. They, the chemistry, the vibes, the amount of work, hard work that they put in, it's all accumulating into, one good season. So I think that's what potentially is at play with Michigan here. I'm not 100% sold on Michigan. I don't think JJ McCarthy, he's a good quarterback, but is he like a game changer like Penix? No. And I think you need a game changer like Penix in order to win a national championship. So I'm gonna go with Washington. I'm definitely taking the spread, but I'm gonna pick Washington in this one. I think their line will give him enough time to kind of pick apart Michigan. Might not have much success running the ball, but if he can throw for 400-500 yards on them, I don't see why they can't beat Michigan. I don't think. Michigan probably won't be able to do that on them. So we'll see. This game was on Monday, 7:30, so a little bit earlier. Not like a 9:00 kickoff like the last last game last Monday. But yeah, that's pretty much it with the national championship game. Before this is the last one, remember, before we go to the 12-team format, which is going to be instituted next season. So, love it while you can. Love it while you can. All right. With that being said, guys, we will move on into rapid fire. So
we're back.
Stay tuned. Rapid fire. Let's get into some NBA. I feel like we haven't talked about NBA in a long. I feel like it's been like at least a week or two, right? So a trade did happen on I think a couple of days ago. New York makes a trade with the Raptors which is crazy because the New York and Raptors are beefing right now, which is I'm surprised they made a trade, but I guess this might be an olive branch, even though they're beefing right now. I don't know. Let me pull it up for you. Knicks trade for OG, which is crazy because OG, let's go over the trade first. Knicks get OG, Precious, Malachi Flynn. Raptors get RJ Barrett quickly in a second-round pick. And this is funny because if you guys remember about this time last year, right before the trade deadline, Raptors wanted 3, not 2. They wanted 3 first rounders for OG, which honestly is a very steep price for not even a border. I mean, he's not even borderline all-star. Like, he's a good player. Reminds me of like a young Jeremy Grant. Like, he could be an all-star. Like, if he was featured as the main guy, but he's going to be playing against like another 1 or 2 good players who are probably the all-stars instead of him. So asking for 3 picks was kind of insane, to be honest. And now you only get a second rounder. Like, I don't know, you kind of played yourself there. You did get RJ Barrett, which honestly, I think he needed a change of scenery just because Brunson and Randall just kind of handled the ball too much. And so when he's in the game, he's kind of just in the corner waiting for, a kick out 3. And that's just not really his game. He needs to be on the ball. He needs to be, not ball dominant, but he needs to touch the ball, here and there. He doesn't need to be relegated to a corner or top of the key waiting for a kick out, 3-point kick out. And for the Knicks, you get Precious, which, you need some size right now. Mitchell Robinson might be done for the year. We'll see. He's going to try and come back. We'll see if he actually does. So they basically only have Hartenstein, the backup center, who is now starting. And you have Julius Randle. So you need some size there. You get some size with Precious. You do lose Emmanuel quickly, which is a huge, huge blow. He was the Knicks bench, honestly, him and DiVincenzo. So hopefully Malachi Flanagan can fill in at least somewhat and help them out in that case. But the Knicks needed OG. They needed they needed a 3-and-D guy. In terms of fit, he fits better with New York. And apparently OG is willing to take a discount with the Knicks. So that was also another huge factor as to why the Raptors were willing to move him there, and why the Knicks were willing to trade for him, because if they can get him at a discount, and he, said that he wanted to go to New York, maybe he plays better. Typically, as you guys, I'm sure, are aware, when players want to go somewhere, they play for the team they want to go to, they typically play better, are motivated to play better, because of, that's their hometown, or that's just maybe they have a play on that team that they want to play with. Whatever the case might be, if they go to a team that they actually want to go to, want to play for, typically they play better. So I think it's a great trade for both sides. I think it's pretty much an even swap. I don't think one team got over on the other in this one. Pretty fair for both sides. So with this move, I think the Knicks put out that they're not in the serious talks with Donovan Mitchell anymore if he does become available. They definitely still have, I think they have like 8 firsts they can trade or something like that. So they definitely could still deal for Donovan Mitchell, but I think once they put that out, they feel like, as constructed, they have a chance to compete in the East. And my perspective, basically, I have them on the same level as Philly. I think them and Philly are in that second tier of, if things go right, they can make the finals. With the Bucks and Celtics, obviously, in that top tier in the East. They're definitely in the tier with Philly. And then below them, you have the teams like Miami and was the Knicks, but now it's probably just Miami. And I kind of want to say the Cavs, but everyone's hurting the Cavs. So basically Miami. I think Magic kind of peaked a little bit too fast. They're starting to come back down to earth. They're kind of like last year's Jazz team where they started off hot and then kind of came back to earth. So the Magic probably will be in the playoffs. Don't get me wrong, but will they be a top 6 seed? I don't think so. I think the Pacers are going to come up as the Magic are falling, and then I think the Knicks will come up as well. I think the Knicks are going to. You see them at 8th right now. I think the Knicks are going to pick up their stride and kind of slip into the top 6. So I think, we got Celtics, Bucks, Sixers, Knicks, then we got Miami, and then if the Pacers can make a move, they can be in that Miami tier. Well, the Miami tier is kind of, one player away from being able to compete for the finals. I think that's what Miami is right now. I mean, after losing Strauss, and after losing Gabe Vincent, it's kind of looking like last year where it stretches where, they can't really score. It just happens so that Miami's shooting better from the three than they did last year. So their points per game looks better than they did last year. But if you really look at it, they still for a couple seasons, this has been like an ongoing issue. Still can't find consistent offense. Bam has stepped up his offense. Hero has come back. He's played, pretty well so far. Leading scorer, I think he's averaging like 23. Probably need him to average about 25 to actually be a legitimate contender, but we'll see if he can, get to that point. But yeah, I'll put the Pacers in that tier if they can make a swing for Donovan Mitchell. They can make a swing for a Zach LaVine type player, or maybe a Pascal. Like, they definitely need another player to pair with Halliburton. But moving on, I don't know if you guys have League Pass, and I know the Thunder don't have too many primetime games, but for whatever you gotta do, you guys gotta watch the Thunder. I mean, they are they're kicking butt and taking names, beating up on the Nuggets, beating up on the Celtics last night. I mean, it was a close game, but still, like, beating up on the Celtics, like, number one, that's not easy, and number two, I mean, for a team so young and honestly don't have. I mean, they have a bunch of young talent, but it's not what you think would be enough to really compete like they have been this whole season, but especially the past couple of games. I mean, you can look at the streak they're on. Beat the Timberwolves, which is the best team in the West. Beat the Knicks. Beat the Nuggets by 26? Wow. Beat the Nets, which are a decent team. Beat the Celtics last night by 4. And now I think they're currently beating the Hawks, so then this game is live, so we'll see if they actually hold on to win. It's really early in the first. But they look good. And then the losses, I mean, they have a couple losses, but they've all been close. Lost to the Lakers, close. Lost to the Kings, close. Lost to the Rockets, close. But, I mean, other than that, they've had some very, very impressive wins. SGA is clearly their best player. Honestly, he's right there with Embiid as the MVP candidate, leading MVP candidates. This kid has been spectacular. I think he's averaging like 31, 5, and 6, 2.6 steals. I think he leads the league in steals. I mean, this kid is crazy good. Chet, I hate to say it, it's probably Rookie of the Year thus far. He's averaging what? 17, 7, basically 3 assists, 2.7 blocks. I mean, what more can I say? Jalen Williams has been playing well. Josh Giddey's been having a down year, but that's probably a lot to do with his off-the-court issues. I'm not going to get into that, but also with Chet, finally being integrated into the team after he kind of got hurt last year. Finally being a part of the team this year is kind of taking the ball out of Giddey's hand. I think the offense is getting designed more for SGA to handle the ball instead of, Giddey kind of being that de facto point forward. I think he's pretty much not played his way out of the system, but I think from my perspective, you definitely can see Giddey, before or right at the trade deadline getting traded. I don't think he fits his team anymore. And he holds some value, so they'll probably trade him for some more picks. I mean, what can more picks hurt? I mean, the more the merrier, right? But going off that point, when we talk about picks, at what point do they cash in? Because it starts to get expensive, and they're going to start signing some of these young guys to extensions soon. Not Chet, not SGA, because SGA, he just signed his Supermax. I think guys like Giddy, I think Dort is going to be up for an extension. Some of these guys, like, you just going to start paying, and then it becomes expensive to keep these young guys. And then you're picking more first rounders, which first rounders cost more than second rounders. So at some point, they're going to have to cash their chips in. You can't, it's not really the old days of draft and stashing players. I feel like now teams covet first rounders more because the star players contracts are spiking up. So now you can really only honestly have 1 or 2 supermax players on a team. So you kind of need more of these first and second rounders for cheap labor and hope they turn out good. And then we just keep rinse and repeating. So no more draft and stashing. It's not really a thing anymore. So it's better to capitalize now instead of, just drafting some of these guys who could be starters and then you use them as reserves. And then they kind of, don't find the proper role because they're not getting the proper minutes. Then you just got to hold the debacle. So don't want to see that. So what I propose, and some people are kind of, it's pretty much 50-50. People are against this or for this. I think the Thunder should cash in now while they can, while it's relatively cheap. Go get Donovan Mitchell. I think they have 2 possible fits that they should go after. One being Donovan Mitchell. Slide right into SGA. He doesn't have to handle the ball. They can play off each other. SGA is, relatively, tall and lanky. So if you, don't have to worry about the size of your backcourt, it'd be perfectly fine, right? And then we look at the other possible fit. They gotta go get Pascal Siakam. They need some more size. Chet, that's not traditional center. Although he does play center at times, probably better as a power forward. Kind of how they have Wemby and Zach Collins playing at the same time. I think he needs a solid center or someone who can play center. And that can be Pascal Siakam. Maybe you just run 2 power forwards out there, which is perfectly fine because Chet's tall, can block shots, change shots at the rim. That's perfectly fine. But Siakam has a bigger body, can match up better with some of these bigger centers in the league, like Joel or Jokic or Anthony Davis or Gobert, even though he's not really offensive minded. But Siakam will help with that. Even some people, I don't really like this as much, but some people are saying Lauri Markkanen because of the shooting, because of the spacing. For me, I feel like the Thunder need more defense because their games are high scoring. They can score with anybody. When it comes to getting stops, they're not the best at getting stops. They can get stops at the rim because of Chet. But I think, perimeter and in the, inside 3-point line, I think they need a little bit of help there. I think you get Siakam. He can guard any position. He's big enough to guard the 4s, agile enough to guard the 1s and 2s and the 3s. He can go on the wing and guard. You can switch anything with him. The only downside is probably 3-point shooting. Doesn't probably space as much as Chet, but I still see him, shoot jumper decently. So we'll see. But I think they should cash out now instead of wait, because I think some of these asking prices are going to shoot up once teams start to replenish draft capital and whatnot. So while there's little teams with a whole bunch of draft assets and draft capital to go out there and make trades, I think you just go ahead and do it. And hey, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. You still have plenty of more picks to make a big trade with. I don't think you have to land on the first one, but hey, maybe the next trade you give up some more assets, and that's the trade that you need. I don't think you don't put all your eggs in one basket with this one, but I think you divide and conquer your assets, and then you make the trades that make your team better. If it doesn't make your team better, hey, let's reassess, make another trade, or hey, maybe you cut them, or whatever the case might be. You just keep it trucking, because at the core, as long as you have SGA, as long as you have Chet, as long as you have Jalen Williams, I honestly think you're fine. So nothing to worry there. As long as you can retain those guys, I think you're fine. So they have a bright future. definitely the hottest team in the NBA right now. A lot of impressive wins. And bet SGA points, they almost always hit unless they're like crazy high. I think that's it, everyone. A little bit of NBA, went over the trades, all that good stuff. I think that's it at the MTL Sports Podcast. Nothing more from me. We're going to get back into the regular flow of things next week with an episode. We're going to record on Monday, drop on Tuesday, and then we'll be back to our 2 episodes per week. But yeah, this is year 2. Thank you guys for watching the first year, giving us all the support, all the love, all that good stuff. This year will be bigger, better than last year. We're going to keep improving, keep giving you good content, all that good stuff. So keep showing love, keep showing support. It really keeps us going. We appreciate that a lot. If you haven't already, follow us on YouTube and Twitter, MTL Sports Podcast, and then on TikTok as well. Everything will be in the description if you are on YouTube. If you are watching on Spotify, there should be a link as well. So don't worry about that. But yeah, this is the end of the MTL Sports Podcast, first podcast episode of the year 2024. Hope you guys had a good, great, good, awesome new year. But we're going to keep cranking out episodes. We won't stop, all that good stuff. So that being said, peace. Have a good night. See y'all.